The Start Your Own Business podcast. Hear inspiring startup stories and get reliable expert advice on how to start your business and get off to the best possible start. Brought to you by Startup Donut, helping small businesses succeed.
Hello, my name's Fiona and I'm your host. So you're thinking of starting your own small business. You're probably asking yourself what key tasks you'll need to complete to get your business off to the best possible start. Well, that's exactly what we'll be covering in this episode. From coming up with your business idea and market research to sources of startup funding and deciding what form your business should take, we'll be covering the key considerations. Today's guest is Mark Williams. Mark is a leading startup and small business content specialist with more than 20 years' experience. He wrote the Startup Donut website and has produced small business content for the government and corporate heavyweights, including HSBC, KPMG, and The Guardian. But perhaps more importantly, as founder of Dead Good Content, Mark himself is a small business owner. Before we speak to Mark, let's find out a bit more about the donuts and what we offer to help your small business succeed.
Want to be more successful when starting or running your own business? You need the donuts. No, not the little deep-fried dough balls filled with jam. I mean the 5 donut small business advice websites: startup, marketing, money, law, and tech. Together they attract more than 1 million visitors each year, people just like you. Each donut website is packed with top tips and reliable information, which we hope will help you to be more successful when starting and running your own business. You can also access money-saving offers and time-saving tools while learning and gaining inspiration from other small business owners. Head over to www.startupdonut.co.uk and you can download a special startup guide that provides a checklist of key tasks you need to complete when starting your own business. Visit www.startupdonut.co.uk today. It could be one of the best business decisions you ever make.
It's time to meet our startup expert, Mark Williams. Hi there, Mark. How are you?
Very good, Fee. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. Thanks for joining us today. Some 750,000 new businesses are reportedly started each year in the UK. So my first question, Mark, is why do so many people do it?
People do it for very, very many different reasons, Fee. Some people want to earn extra money. A quarter of UK adults now are believed to have a side hustle, which is a part-time or seasonal business that provides additional money while they're still in a job. Other people do it because they can earn more money than they could by being an employee working for someone else. Although it has to be said, that's not always a given. You won't always earn more money by being self-employed.
Right.
Some people just want to be their own boss. They don't want other people telling them what to do and deciding what work they're going to do and how and when. So that's another reason. And I think some people as well just get bored with the job or role that they're doing, and self-employment offers them an escape route. I think it has to be said as well, redundancy. Some people just lose their job, and starting their own business is the only solution really open to them. So that's why they do it.
What about people who are looking for more flexibility?
I think that's a key reason, and that's a major reason now why people do it. It can be people with childcare commitments or people with commitments to caring for other family members, and working for yourself gives you greater flexibility than you would have if you work for somebody else. I think also another one is people start a business based on their hobby or interest, and it has to be said, some people just spot a gap in the market. It can be a problem or a challenge that they encounter or something they hear about, and they can think of either a solution or a better solution than ones that are currently available. But as I say, many different reasons why people start their own business.
Yeah, that people having a hobby that they're following up on really strikes a chord with me, because I've got 3 friends who now have side hustles that they run on the basis of a hobby that they took up during the pandemic, which have grown into really successful side hustles.
Indeed, and that can be anything. It could be sport. You could be into sport and you do coaching. It could be you play a musical instrument, and you teach a musical instrument. It can be a lot of things. And as I say, you don't launch that. You don't necessarily have to launch that as a full-time business. It could be a side hustle.
Yeah. And technology makes that much quicker and easier to do these days.
Indeed, it does. I think that's been one of the big game changers. That's why the numbers of people starting their own business has grown so much in recent years. It's just easier, quicker, and cheaper now than ever. So that's made it more possible for many more people. I think starting your own business now and running your own business is more mainstream than it's ever been. We probably all know somebody who runs their own business, and that applies to people from all manner of different backgrounds. So yeah, it's very, very popular indeed.
So, where do people get their business ideas from, Mark?
Well, as I've already mentioned, sometimes you encounter a problem in your life, or you know somebody who does, and there isn't a solution for that problem, or the solution that exists. People think of a superior version of that. I think sometimes people come up with business ideas when they travel to other locations. You know, they might go to another country and see something that exists in another country that we don't have here in the UK. Or it could be just a matter of going to another location in the UK, and then you bring that idea back to where you live in the UK and you start a business on that basis. I think sometimes people see things on TV. You know, it might be something on Dragon's Den or The Apprentice or whatever it would be, and that can spark ideas. Or they read about something in a newspaper or magazine, so you see something that gives you an idea for a business. Sometimes businesses just come from conversations that you'll have with other people,
Right.
and that gives people a eureka moment.
And does your idea need to be unique to work?
It doesn't. I think in reality, very few businesses are unique. They're variations on existing businesses, selling variations of existing products or services. So I think the important point is don't allow that to stop you. Don't have to come up with the unique idea.
So, let's say someone's had their eureka moment. What do they then need to do to start their business?
Well, I would say an important thing early on is to test that idea. I think also it begins with research in your market. You need to get a better idea of what competitors are out there in the market. What are they selling? How do they sell it? And how much do they sell it for? And then you can kind of get an idea, you know, how can you make a better job of it? What can you do to be better than them? Obviously, also, I think you need to look at customers to get an idea of the market that's out there, you know, whether it's viable, that the product or service that you want to sell, whether there's a market for it. So in terms of existing customers, what do they buy? How do they buy it? And how much do they pay? I think that's an important thing to find out about early on.
Yeah, so you need to speak to your potential customers to get their feedback on your idea. Do they like what you're making? Is it in the kind of ballpark of what they'd be prepared to pay for what you're planning to make or sell?
Exactly, yeah, and that's exactly it. And I think the thing is, you know, you do want to be speaking to other people to, you know, it could be your business name, it could be you develop a prototype of a product, and you need to be speaking to people to get their feedback on that, just to test your own thinking, really.
Yeah.
I think the important thing is to not just confine that to your friends and family, because people might be reluctant to give you negative criticism. I think what you need to do is speak to people that you don't know and just find out what they think. You know, if you have developed a prototype of your product, give it to them, let them, you know, or if it's a food product, let them taste it, get their feedback, find out what they think about your business name, and find out what they think about your prices. That's a very crucial one.
Yeah.
Crucial question, really, because all these things, you know, they're going to impact on whether your business is successful or not. So you need to go out there and seek that honest feedback, and you could even try to make some sales there and then. You know, if you've made a batch of, you know, your homemade gin or whatever you're going to sell, you know, do a tasting. You know, find out what people think. I think the information that you gain can enable you to make changes, whether big ones or small ones.
Yeah.
Which just enable you to enhance your idea. The feedback might lead you to think, oh, well, the idea is not viable. People don't like, you know, my idea. So you kind of go back to the drawing board then and have to think of something else. But better that's what you do than start a business that's doomed to failure and you waste a lot of time and money.
Yeah, absolutely. Very few of them, I suspect, that start a business each year are going to get it right first time.
No, and I think that's another thing. Your business does change. You know, you launch a business, and then a year or two later, it might evolve. You might concentrate on selling other products, other services. So that's all part of it. You evolve, and you find the way in the end. But yeah, I think it's always a matter of listening to feedback and staying in touch with your market. You've always got to do that.
Yeah. Another key decision, I suppose, early on is deciding where you're going to base your business.
Indeed, and I think it's very important, obviously, for like so retail businesses, restaurants, and other manufacturing businesses. Sometimes you've got to go out there and find premises, and finding the right ones within your budget takes time. So you need to factor that in. You know, you don't want to be rushing an important decision like that because you can make an expensive mistake. Key factors are location. They're critical for businesses that rely on footfall.
Yeah.
You've also got to be thinking about if you're employing staff, can they easily get to your premises? You know, is that a problem? What about suppliers? So it's the size and obviously the cost of the premises. You know, you've got to, you know, what is the cost and what's the length of the lease that you've got to take on? I think often people can be surprised that they're expected to take on, say, a 10-year lease on a property, and they sign up and then, you know, it's something that people can later regret if the business doesn't work out. So yeah, you need to research your options if you need to go out there and find premises.
And the issue, I suppose, with the length of lease is a reason why lots of people choose to start their business from home.
It's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons. I think the thing is, if you do start your business from home, then obviously that's a major overhead saving.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you can save that money, it's easier for you to get into a profit. So yeah, people do start and run the business from home, and I think if you've got a spare room or you know you run it from your garden shed or your garage or whatever you're going to run it from, it can just save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
And also you can claim a proportion of your domestic bills if you do run a business from home. There's literally millions of people run their own business from home. And even if you've got premises as well, you might have a room in your house that you use for the admin side of your business. You might do your business admin at the weekend or overnight, and you come away from your premises as well. So sometimes it's a hybrid thing. I think as well, if you do work from home, a lot of people these days find a flexible co-working space nearby.
Yeah.
So if they need to go and work somewhere free from distractions, they can. Sometimes it can be a better place to have meetings with clients and suppliers, and also it can make you feel quite isolated when you run a business from your home.
Absolutely.
So I think going out there and just mixing with other people, I think that's a good idea. So yeah, but some people have premises, other people don't, and other people work remotely. A lot of tradespeople, of course, obviously travel to customers' houses and premises, and that's the way it's done. So it's a mix of all three, really.
Yeah. Not everyone's great with figures, and I'd count myself in that category, Mark. But how important is it to do some basic calculations before starting your business?
I think it's very important. I mean, the thing is, you don't want to start a business that's doomed to failure right from the start. I think with your market research, armed with your market research and your knowledge of the market, you should have an idea of what you can expect to make in income or sales in a month. And a rough idea of your costs, and you kind of look at the profit and say, is that going to generate enough profit for me? Am I going to be able to pay myself the type of wage that I want to pay? Can I cover my costs? You might find that there just simply aren't enough sales. You don't even cover your costs, let alone end up in a situation where you can pay yourself. And in that case, I think you've got to go away and rethink your idea, and make some changes, really. But it's better to do those calculations early on, as I say, than start a business that's doomed to failure.
Yeah, and I think one of the common mistakes is that people underestimate just how many costs there are and miss things out that should be taken into consideration when they're working out their profitability.
I think so, and obviously the age that we're living in, price rises.
Yeah.
So you think something's going to cost so much, and then the reality is it costs 20% more or 30% more or whatever it is. That's another thing to factor in when you're estimating your costs, to sort of be realistic with that.
Yeah. So you want to start your business, and most businesses will need at least some money to get off the ground, be that for equipment or what have you. What are the options open to you if you want to look for some business funding?
Well, the thing is, in most cases, people have to use their own savings.
Mm.
That's a common scenario. I think another common thing is that people accept money from friends and family. A word of warning: if you're thinking of doing that, I think you need to have like a written agreement, really, so everyone knows where they stand. The danger is that the business fails,
Yeah.
and then you can't give the money back to your friends and family, and then personal relationships sour. So that's the thing you've got to bear in mind. So as I say, if you get some agreement on that, I think maybe your bank, you might be able to get a loan from your bank to start your business. You might also be able to get a government startup loan. If people visit startuploans.co.uk, they can find out more information about that.
Yeah.
Often you get a loan for a lower rate of interest. So that might be an option for certain people. I would warn against putting all your startup costs on a credit card.
Yeah.
It says something that you hear sometimes. People just go out there and everything they need to buy for the business, they just put it on a credit card. But that, I think, can be dangerous. If the things don't work out, then you burden yourself with possibly thousands of pounds of personal debt, which you do need to guard against that.
Yeah, and I suppose another important point with that, Mark, is that interest rates have been climbing month on month for the last 14 or 15 months. So what you expect a repayment to be one month can actually be £200-300 more the next month because interest rates have gone up. So absolutely, you do need to be careful about putting things on credit.
It can be, and I think it places strain on your business cash flow. And then if your business costs go up, then you might be in a position then where you can't pay yourself a wage. So this has happened. So these are all things you need to be mindful of. And I think as a general point, what I would say is you should just seek to start your business for as little money as possible.
Yeah.
You just don't go out there and sort of buy new things when you can buy secondhand things. You can make do with things that you've got. You have to be creative. You could do swap deals, barter deals with other small businesses. Don't scrimp too much to the point where you're not launching the business in a way. You don't want to hold your business back. But as I say, limit that startup spending, and then you'll move into profitability much quicker.
Yeah, and the important thing is that the less you've spent, the fewer sales you need to make to reach profitability.
Exactly that. And that's the problem, if you take on these additional costs. If you've gone out and bought a brand new computer and you've got a monthly cost with that when you've got a computer at home that you could have used, then that's just going to drain your cash flow. So it's things like that, really. It could be buying a new vehicle when you don't need one. If you, as I say, if you can make do, I think a wise idea, try and bootstrap your business as much as possible.
Yeah.
Start it for as little amount as you can, and just be creative. I think that's a good habit to get into anyway. When you're running your business, you should always run a tight ship. And if there isn't a good business reason for buying something, then don't buy it. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. That's great. Okay, so let's move on to marketing and more specifically, creating a brand. What is a brand, and is it something that small businesses really need to think about when they're starting out?
It's definitely something that small businesses need to think about. And a brand, just to explain what a brand is, people often confuse the term brand with branding. In terms of a brand can be explained as the perception that people have when they come in contact with your business, what they think about your business. That's the brand. So it's shaped by their experiences when they come into contact with your business. And I think creating a good brand is crucial, no matter how big or small your business or how new or well established it is. I think as a new small business, it can help you to compete against bigger, more established businesses. So I think it's definitely worth the effort in thinking about your brand. Now, key to that is your brand values, which is what your business stands for. I think they're very, very important. That can help you to attract and retain customers. And common sort of brand values would be honesty, integrity, quality, passion. I think every business needs to have values, and that helps. That's central to your brand. I think another important point is your brand should be authentic to you. Don't simply copy other businesses. It needs to ring true, because if it doesn't, I think customers can see through that, and then they can be put off by that.
Yeah. So what is your brand identity?
Your brand identity is simply the visual expression of your brand. So it is such thing as your logo, your slogan, your strapline, typefaces, your house colours, and imagery, photographs that you use. These are all very, very important. And they, as I say, they help to attract and retain customers too, and set you apart. I think people can these days create their own brand identity thanks to the apps and software that exists.
Yeah.
Not everyone can. It has to be said. And I think if you launch your business and your branding looks poor, then that puts people off. I think if you have got budget, working with someone to create a brand identity for you, a logo, colours, I think it can be a good investment. I'm not suggesting that people go off and hire a fancy agency, because that type of thing can cost a fortune. But certainly working with possibly a good freelancer,
Yeah.
setting a budget and just getting someone to create those things for you, that can be a good investment, really.
Yeah, and it can save you time and mistakes if you're working with someone who knows what they're doing. So, yeah, agree with that completely. That it can be a good investment to make if you're going to spend money somewhere, spend it on that, building that identity for your business.
Exactly, and I think if you do go down the route of creating it yourself, it's another thing where you need to sense check that, show it to other people. If you do come up with your own colours and your own logo and your own strap line, your slogan, whatever it is, then show it to other people, get their feedback, people that you respect. And as I say, not just friends and family again who might be reluctant to criticize you, others, and get them to feedback and listen to that feedback where it's viable and make changes. And if you do have a go yourself and it doesn't look very good, then you might think, what, I am going to go and find someone to help me with this. So, and as I say, I think freelancers would be the route that I'd go with to keep the spending down.
Yeah. So, how important is it that you go about setting your business apart from competitors? Because realistically, we've all got competitors when we start out.
Yeah, I think it's essential. You've got to do it. There's no point in being the same as everyone else. You have to differentiate yourself, and you've got to give customers a clear reason to choose you and not one of your competitors. And I think that has to be more than just being cheaper. Because one of your competitors might be able to undercut you.
Yeah.
In which case, where does that leave you? I think as well, brand values is an important part of that. Find reasons to set yourself apart with your brand values. Find a way to set yourself apart with your brand values, but definitely through your brand identity as well. So find ways visually to be different. I think I think the key is to try and find ways to be special.
Yeah.
That's how you can really differentiate your business, and that's how you can really compete against larger, more establishment competitors.
Yeah.
So what is it that's special about you? And that's something that hopefully will appeal to potential customers.
Yeah. And how important is it to have a website alongside your brand values and your brand identity?
Well, essential these days. It's absolutely essential. I think even if you're opening a fast food business somewhere, before people will buy, invariably they will check you out. They'll look at your website to get a better feel for your business, what you're doing, what you're offering, who you are. And if someone visits that website and they're put off by it, it's going to hit you. People aren't going to buy from you if they're not impressed with it. It's your shop window. Even if you don't sell online, your website is your shop window. So I think it's essential that you do have a really good website. I think there again, there are DIY solutions, where you can build your own simple website, a 4 or 5 page website for a pretty small amount of money, really. So I think maybe you could have, and a lot of these DIY solutions offer free trials of a couple of weeks, so you could have a go yourself, see where you get to with it. You use templates, and I think if you don't deviate too much away from those templates, then people can create a reasonably decent website that incorporates your brand identity. Sometimes you might begin by setting up your website, and then the website will give you colours as part of a colour palette as part of the template.
Yeah.
So you might create the website and think, oh, those colours look nice, and then you'll transfer them over to other things. But yeah, I think it's one of those things. Again, you can have a go yourself, but if you really don't have those skills or you don't have the time, then I think it might be worth exploring a freelancer who might be able to work with you to create a website for you. But decide how much you can afford to spend. You don't have to spend sort of 5-10 grand, those types of things. It might be £1,000 or so for a basic launch website, and that's what I would suggest.
Yeah. And most of the web builders, like any software, has tiered packages, so you can start off with something simple, and as your business grows, add the extra functionality if you need it. So yeah, no, absolutely, we're saying that it's possible to build your own website, and if not, reach out to someone like a freelance who can do that for you.
Exactly. And I think once you get the work done, if you get, the thing is, if you get a website built for you, make sure that you can sign in and you can add things yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want to be every 5 minutes you need a new photograph or some information or a blog uploading. You shouldn't be paying for that. So you should have the sign in. So the simple stuff that you should be able to update the website yourself. It's getting back to this idea of limiting your costs all the time. So that's what I would suggest.
And what about social media, Mark? How important is that to businesses these days?
Similarly, it's just very, very important. I think social media offers a proven way for small businesses, for startups to raise their profile, quickly raise their profile, and it can enable them to attract customers and make sales. I think it's that's the way it is for many businesses these days. So I think before launching your business, it's one of those things that you get active, you create social media accounts, and you start your presence, you start building your presence that way, sort of pre-announcing that you're going to be launching your business. I think the things in terms of the platforms you use, obviously you need to bear in mind which ones are likely to be used by potential customers, and they're the ones where you create your own sort of social media accounts.
Yeah, so I suppose that leads on to my next question, really, Mark, is how does a new business owner market their business?
I think there again, different ways. It depends on the business, and different tactics work for different businesses in different ways. We've already mentioned social media, and then there's digital advertising, there's email marketing, your website, as we've already mentioned too. That should be a way to attract. If that's not properly optimized for search engines such as Google, then that can hopefully attract customers for you as well. I think other businesses will use more conventional means of marketing. It could be advertising in a local paper. That always works quite well, or can work quite well for trade type businesses, or could be an advert in a magazine. But leaflet drops, they can work quite well for many small businesses. I think networking as well can be another good way to attract customers. For some service-based businesses, that's essential. So it's just getting out there and joining local associations and other associations and breakfast clubs and these types of things. So you go out there and build your profile. And I think the whole thing is you've got to let people know that you exist, as a business, because how is anyone going to buy from you if they don't know you're there? So essentially that's what marketing's all about.
So we're saying basically that it's going to be a mix of marketing tactics that's likely to give you the best results, really, as a small business.
Yeah, it is, absolutely that. And certain things, tactics that you use will work for you. They might not work for another business. Certain tactics might work better at certain times a year with certain types of products. A lot of it is trial and error. I think you need to be guided, as I say, by who you're trying to target, how you're most likely to reach them, and what key messages you need to communicate to them. That's the essence of what you're trying to do. I think a lot of it when you start a business is about trial and error. You'll try things and they don't work. I think you find what works best for you. Everything should be monitored. You need to be very careful on what you spend in terms of marketing budgets. And you just got to monitor results and concentrate. If things don't work, then stop doing them. Don't keep on throwing money at it. If it doesn't work, if it doesn't bring you business, there's no point. So find what works for you. But as I say, as an overall point, marketing is hugely important. If people don't know you there, they won't buy from you. That's the simple fact of the matter.
Yeah. If you don't mind, Mark, can we look briefly at actually registering your business? Sole trader is a really popular option, isn't it?
Yeah, sole trader. Most people actually set up as a sole trader. I think about 56% of UK small businesses are sole traders, and basically that's just another name for being self-employed. In law, you in the business, you're the same thing. You're one and the same thing, which means you're liable for the business's debts. So that's the big drawback with it, if you like. And that can mean, if you build up big debts, then essentially, you can have to sell your car or your home to pay those debts. So that's one thing to bear in mind. But I think if you're unlikely to build up debts to any level approaching that, then it's less of an issue. I think with sole trader businesses, there's less tax admin, and it's very, very quick and easy to register as a sole trader. You just do it via gov.uk, which is the government website, HMRC, and you can do it very, very quickly indeed. So yeah, it's quick and easy. I think all types of businesses, different legal structures, they're all pretty easy to sort out, quick and cheap.
Yeah. And what about forming a business partnership?
That's another quite popular option, really. I think about the ordinary partnerships make up about 6% of the UK business population.
Right.
And it's kind of like similar to being a sole trader, but you go into business with others. And obviously that entails sharing the profits, but also sharing the responsibilities. So out there again, you're not a limited company. and that would mean you and the other partners in the business are liable for the business's debts. So, as I say, that is one thing to bear in mind.
So, what if you decide you want to start a limited company? How does that work?
Well, a limited company essentially removes that personal financial liability. So, providing you trade properly and you don't take on any loans out in your personal name to give money to the company, then the debts of the company, other companies, they're not yours. And that's why one of the key reasons why people decide to set up a private limited company, and they make up around about 37% of the UK business population. I think the thing is there's more tax admin with running a limited company, which is something to bear in mind. And there can be a slight tax advantage the more that you earn. So this is another reason why people will set up a limited company rather than set up as a sole trader. The more that you earn, when you get to say earning more than say £40,000, that type of thing, then operating your business through a registered limited company can be more tax efficient. It's very easy to set up a limited company. You just register with Companies House. So yeah, but they're the three main options to choose from, really.
So, apart from those sort of registration tasks, what else does a business owner need to think of when they're starting out?
Well, but believe it or not, we haven't even scratched the surface. There can be lots of other things that you might need to sort out. I mean, finding staff, that could be one, and even as a sole trader, you can take on staff, you can have staff. So suppliers is another one. Obviously, you want to find reliable suppliers that offer you good value. That can take time. They might not give you credit as well when you first start doing business. You might have to earn that credit after 6 months or 12 months. That's another thing to prepare yourself for. Sorting out a bank account.
Yep.
That's something that you as a sole trader, you don't have to have a separate bank account, but it is recommended. As a limited company, because you and the limited company are different legal entities, then you do have to get a bank account for the limited company.
Right.
But as a sole trader, you don't. But as I say, it is recommended that you do that to keep your business finances and your personal finances totally separate. Other businesses, it'll be about buying equipment. It might be tools. It might be a vehicle. If you might have a car at the moment, but you might need a van to operate as a trade business. So that's something, and that's fairly common, really. Stock and raw materials. You might need to. You're going to have to think about buying that, sorting that out, especially if you make things. You're going to have to order your raw materials in advance so you can actually make stock to sell it in advance of launch. Software, that can be another one. Software can take care of a wide range of business tasks these days.
Yeah.
So you need to sort that out. Computer, obviously, as part of your equipment. Office furniture. So that's it. I think as a general point, I would say many of these things can take much longer than you bargain for. So you make sure that you leave yourself enough time ahead of launch to sort these things out. I think it would be wise to create like a task list.
Right.
You like almost like a checklist, so you don't miss anything out. And there is a danger when you're starting a business because there's so many things to do. But as I say, leave yourself enough time, be methodical, and keep an eye on the cost at all time. Try to keep your costs down.
Thanks for that, Mark. Blimey, we've covered a lot of ground in this chat this morning. So, I suppose really to round things up, the only areas that we haven't really covered are the common mistakes that you need to make sure that you avoid. We've talked a lot about what you should do. What shouldn't you do when you're starting your business?
Right, well, getting back to one of the initial points that I made is not researching your market or not testing your business idea. And that can literally have disastrous consequences. So you might think you've got the best business idea since sliced bread, but in reality, it might not be the case. Other people might disagree. You launch your business and you sat there twiddling your thumbs because there's no customers, no one's interested. I think your prices, people launching the prices are too high or too low. That could be another mistake. And this is why you need to have a careful think when you're setting your prices, really. And it's one of those things that you seek feedback on when you are doing that early research about your business idea. I think another one is underestimating how long it can take to get a new business off the ground. It's unlikely to be an overnight success. Very few businesses are that. It takes it might take a year or two to get a new business fully off the ground and firmly established.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right there. People often underestimate just how much hard work is involved, how much sacrifice is involved, how much it's going to cost you. So, yeah, no, definitely a good one there.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I would say to people, running your own business is really the easy option. It does take a lot of hard work. There's no guarantees. You don't you're not automatically going to earn more than you would in a job. It does take a lot of hard work. The hours can be long. There might not be holiday pay, sick pay, all those things that you get as a paid employee. But there are benefits as well. To running your own business. Some days you might wonder why on earth are you doing it. Other days you'd be glad that you are, because you are getting all the benefits that you wouldn't get from a job. I think, just to get back to your question about common mistakes, which is something we've already touched on, and is this thing about wasting money on things that you don't need to buy.
Yeah.
Advertising always used to be a classic example. Buying adverts in glossy magazines that just don't bring any work, or rushing out to buy a brand new computer that you don't really need, or paying a fortune for a fancy website. All of the above. It's just going to add a burden to your costs, burden to your cash flow, and that's not where you want to be early on with your business. So try and start your business for as little amount of money as possible, and just run a tight ship, really. I think finally, another point that I've already touched on as well is just, you've got to try to find ways to be special. You really have to, it's a very, very saturated market out there for many, many small businesses. And I think what you've got to do is find real ways to set yourself apart, to be different, to be superior, and just give customers a clear reason to choose you. Because if you're not giving them a clear reason to choose you, why would they choose you?
Yeah.
And that's the way to think about it. Be special.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much for your time and insights, Mark. That's been really helpful, and I'm sure it will give our listeners lots to contemplate before they start out on their business journey. So thanks so much for joining us today.
No problem, Fee. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Well, that was really interesting. I knew Mark would be a great guest. I hope he's given you plenty to think about. We've covered a lot of territory today, but I think there are some standout points for me. Firstly, do your research. Do people want or need what you're offering? Will they pay a price you need to charge to cover your costs and to leave enough profit for you to pay yourself a wage? Listen to genuine, impartial advice, and don't be afraid to go back to the drawing board if the feedback suggests you need to rethink your plans. Secondly, bootstrap. Don't spend money unless you absolutely have to. For example, if you can run your business from home to keep costs down, do. If you have a half decent laptop or a computer that you can use for your business admin, don't splash out on a new one. The less you spend up front, the less you will have to sell to reach profitability. And finally, be realistic. It will take longer, it will cost you more, and it will be more challenging than you imagine to start your business. But that said, millions of people take the leap every year. They pursue a dream, they look to achieve a better work-life balance, or simply earn a living in a way that doesn't rely on someone else. So, whatever your reason, know that it is possible to start your own business, and with the right approach, it can be a success. If you want further information on anything we've covered here today, you can find summary notes and links to more free resources at www.startyourownbusinesspodcast.co.uk. If you found this bonus episode inspiring and helpful, please listen to the episodes from our previous 4 series. They cover many of today's topics in more details and contain lots of practical tips and advice too. And make sure you subscribe on your podcast player of choice to hear about the new episodes as they drop.